Today we're talking with Julie Snider, who is going to be our agent for the Pittsburgh North section of the panel. And to just get us started, Julie, tell me your favorite, quirkiest thing about Pittsburgh that you probably don't see in other cities. Can be anything.
Oh man.
And I know you've been like the north side and you otherwise you're north. So I'm sure there's a variety of ideas you might have for this answer.
Yeah, so it's hard to pick my favorite Pittsburgh thing. I mean, I love Yinzers. I love our language that we have. You can't go wrong. Like, I thought about this. It could be the word jagoff. That might be one of my favorite Pittsburgh things. Or maybe a permani sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe the parking chair. I do love the parking chair, and I see that very often whenever I'm out showing homes or listing in the city. You will run into that space where you think it's free, and you pull up and you find like a parking chair or a bucket with cement in it with a sign that says no parking. So I think maybe the parking chair is my favorite Pittsburgh thing.
That's a good one.
And I haven't seen that in any other cities.
Right. I was trying to think of, is it called the Pittsburgh Left, where like you stop for opposing traffic to turn left? Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Or like opposing traffic will let you turn left.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Even though there's no stop sign or any indication that you should be stopping to be given
right.
anything whatsoever. Okay, so let's talk about, other than real estate, like where did you grow up and how long have you lived in Pittsburgh?
So I grew up in Bakerstown, which is in Gibsonia. All of my life, really, my family has lived there forever. We grew up on 20 acres, so I've had all kinds of critters and fun things there.
Mini horses.
A mini horse, my mini horse Cooper now. I would like Mini Horse to be my mascot, but I have to figure out a way to get him in my vehicle. So I've lived in Pittsburgh all of my life, except for my 4 short years at Penn State. I spent some time in the north side when we were first married in Fineview, which is a really awesome place. And now we live in Wexford. So always in the northern part of Pittsburgh.
Right.
And I've lived here forever, never anywhere else.
That's it. When I was originally splitting these up, I was like, oh, Julie would be perfect for this. Like, she's got like the whole north covered.
The whole north,
there,
from like
sold there,
from the suburbs and the sticks in Bakerstown, like as far north as you can get without being Butler County,
right,
to the city of Pittsburgh in the north side,
right.
So yeah, we've
and
covered it all.
Now you're in Wexford. I love to call it, like when I go to the grocery store, the one coffee guy, we always call it like Hollywood North, because it just feels like there's just a lot of
wear yoga pants
variety. Right.
Wear yoga pants, or not even yoga pants, but your Lululemons are acceptable attire in the grocery store.
Right. Although I just wear Target every day, but okay. So like thinking of north and where you live, to support small businesses, favorite place to eat, favorite coffee shop, and favorite place to go when you could go there again.
Oh, so favorite place to eat in the north, I'd have to say Franklin Inn. Franklin Inn in Franklin Park. They have delicious margaritas and very good wings and very good food. We always like going there. It's also a fun atmosphere.
Right.
I don't drink coffee, but if I have to meet people and go to a place, I like going to Generosa.
That's a good one.
Because they have good tea and good food there. What was the other question?
Favorite place to go.
Favorite place to go. That's hard. I mean, I love to go to North Park and be outside. That's open right now. What I like to do most is good happy hour. What I think I've been missing most is a good happy hour.
Right.
Where you can just sit at the bar and either with friends or with like one other person and talk to random people.
Right.
I will be looking forward to getting back to happy hours sometime in the future.
I did one virtual one, and it was weird because I brought my pressed spiked water and I was all excited. nobody had like a drink in the picture. And I was like, am I
Really?
supposed to drink this? Yeah, finally, like someone took a sip. I was like, okay, I feel better now. Like I didn't want to be the only person on the call, just having my way with my beverage. Okay, so what about the housing market in Pittsburgh North? What is it?
So
What's it
it's
like right now?
busy. It's busy right now, but inventory is very low. So it creates this feeding frenzy when houses are listed. And I just had it happen to a client like 2 weeks ago. A house was listed, showings began Friday. They had an open house Sunday. We wrote an offer right away, but they waited until Monday morning to take offers, and then they accepted one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there were 5 offers on it. It wasn't underpriced. In fact, the people had only purchased the home like 2 years ago for around 200,000. They listed at 250, and I think that they got way over asking price.
Right.
So it's a very competitive market right now, especially under like the $500,000 price range.
Right. It seems like there's a lot of, in that range, cash buyers too.
Yes.
For the lower amounts, which is hard to compete against if you have any sort of loan.
Yeah, it's incredibly hard to compete against that kind of a buyer. I had that situation this summer. Clients were buying up to $450, and they bid $21,000 over asking price on a house, and they lost it to a cash buyer.
That's crazy. To think that you had that much money in cash to just, I mean, I
and
guess
they were putting, they were putting 35% down. So it wasn't like they were only 3% or 5% down conventional buyer. They were putting 35% down. Like they couldn't have made their offer any stronger.
Right.
But someone came in with cash at $440,000 and bought it. It would be nice.
So. Yeah, I need to be their friend.
Right.
Okay, so obviously you've lived here, you pretty much your whole life. So, you know, how did you make the move to real estate? Because I know, like originally, you were doing something that's way opposite of anything in real estate.
Total opposite.
Right.
Yeah. So I worked at Pitt for 7 years in biomedical research with animals. And I wanted to get into medical sales, but I didn't have a sales background. I had more like management and technical experience. So I thought I could get my real estate license and work on the side in real estate and build my CV through sales experience. And then I ended up liking it and quit working at Pitt and just started real estate full time.
Right.
And that was almost 10 years ago.
Has it been that long? Wow.
In February, it will have been 10 years.
Oh, I had no idea it's been that long.
Yes.
Wow.
It's gone really fast.
So of your 10 years, is there a certain area that you work with the most, like to work with the most? Is it listing, buying, new construction, you know, historic homes, single family homes?
What I do most of is existing home sales and purchases, working with buyers and sellers with existing homes. I've done some new construction, but not a ton. I always enjoy going into the city and looking at old homes and the different character and the different parts of the city. I've learned so much about the city of Pittsburgh and the different areas from this job. I really love and appreciate that aspect of this job. But I work mostly with just your regular buyers and sellers in every price range from, I think the lowest house I've sold is 26,000 and up to 2.1 million. So like all kinds of buyers and sellers.
Right.
The sweet spot, I think my average price range right now is around 360 or 380, which is a sweet spot for Pittsburgh. That's your typical buyer, even a lower price point. I'm an accredited buyer's agent, so I have a designation as a buyer's representative. I really like working with first-time home buyers because I feel like they need a lot of help. They have a lot of questions.
Right.
They might have a lot of misinformation about what to do in the process or who they need to talk to first or how inspections work. So
Right.
I like being able to guide people through the process and really like hold their hand and make them understand everything.
Right. I think
And I
that's
also
hard
have
now because there's so much information out there that
so
it's
much.
not either not correct, or we talked about this on the platform. There's almost like three phases. Like you think about buying or selling, so you start to do your own research, and then you kind of get overwhelmed and you think you should talk to an expert, but you're months and months and months ahead, so you don't really want to contact anyone yet. And so then a small group of that people move down to like real estate forums and community forums where you're having strangers who don't know anything about your finances and your lifestyle tell you like what you should do, what you shouldn't do, and they might not even live in your area, you know. And like a first time home buyer has probably a lot different things to think about than someone who has bought and sold 3 times and is downsizing and like has a nice
Hmm.
nest egg, and it's different, you know.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah,
that's
it's
important
very
to have
different.
someone, right?
And I appreciate those people that are thinking about making a change in 5 to 10 months, or maybe even longer than that.
Mm-hmm.
So I can have an initial conversation with them. You know, I used to like to have people into my office and give them a packet of information and say, these are all the things that you're going to do.
We're not going to read
I
it.
can tell you everything right now. You're
Right.
not going to read it. But as we're looking at homes and going through this process, I'll explain everything to you as we go so you get it. Because I could tell you everything now and you're going to forget it.
Right.
I could explain the sales agreement to you now, but until you're actually going through it, you're going to forget it. But like, that's what my job is, to walk you through each step and make sure you meet all of your timelines and you're connected with the right people to get your mortgage and your title insurance. So I like those people that want to take a long time for the process because it gives them more time to prepare. Right now I'm working with an older woman. She's, I think, like 67, 68. Her husband passed away a few years ago. She has lived in this home for 45 years.
That's hard.
It's very hard. And I understand her position because it's very similar to what my mom is going through.
Mm-hmm.
And she needs that person to hold her hand and to say, okay, like, this is where we're going to start. I need
Mm-hmm.
you to declutter the third floor and empty everything from this room.
Right.
I need you to clear off all your countertops for pictures and take down these drapes, and, you know, set her up with someone that can go in and move junk out of the basement, because she
Right.
obviously can't do that by herself and she doesn't have family here that can help her.
Right.
Now, she's not thinking about selling her home until next spring,
Mm-hmm.
but I've already had 2 appointments with her just to start the process and
Right.
walking her through it, because I know it's going to take a lot longer. And
Right.
she's got so many questions for me already, just about whether she should patch a hole in the wall or paint something,
Right.
or, you know, is it okay for all of these boxes to be in my dining room while I'm showing homes?
Right.
No,
Probably
it's not. And
Right.
you know, like we've got to move the litter boxes too.
Yeah. Just put it
They can't
outside
be
for the
there.
day.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm also I have my designation for senior real estate specialist, and just I enjoy working with seniors because they also need that extra time.
Right.
I have to go meet with them. They're not signing documents on dot loop. They need someone that can be there in person to explain the documents, to explain why the buyer wants a home inspection, or why the borough has to do an occupancy inspection, why they have to have an appraisal done, all of those parts. So I like, I'm a very critical thinker, so I like being able to help people and walk them through the process.
Right. I think that's important, and it's hard because you don't know what kind of agent you have until you start working with
Mhm.
them, and for these big life changes, it's important to have someone like you who understands and has the patience. Because sometimes that doesn't work out that way, I think they feel kind of lost because it's a big step.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's a very emotional step
right,
too. When
right,
you've been in a home for 45 years, there's so much emotion tied there. It's,
right,
where you were maybe married and you brought your kids home from the hospital and you celebrated holidays, and there's just so much emotion to saying goodbye that you have to understand someone's timeline, and you can't push that. You have to
right,
go at their pace too.
right, right. Biggest misconception you think that consumers have about agents?
Um, that's a hard one. One thing is agents make too much money.
Yeah, that's it. Our Pittsburgh East agent said they think that we keep 6% of the whole commission for ourselves. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's clearly not the way it works.
right.
Um, but maybe just that um, all agents are the same.
Hmm.
I think each agent is different in how we spend time with people, how we adjust what we're doing to their needs.
Hmm.
My 25-year-old buyer is very different than my 68-year-old seller
Right,
and what they're looking for and what they need help with. My 68-year-old seller, I'm calling her on the phone and having conversations. My 25-year-old texts me all the time,
right,
and
right,
that's acceptable, and that's just the way it is.
right.
Um, I think just like lawyers and doctors and other professionals, there are some out there that are better than others.
Hmm.
Um, and it's the same thing with real estate. Not all agents are the same. Not all agents are used car salesmen,
Right,
which is
right,
a title that we get a
right.
lot.
It's funny. I was
Um,
talking to someone. It's like there's like 1.34 million agents, and of that, there's that small set group, like people that are on the panel that are doing a great job and put consumers first. And but it's hard as a consumer because there's no way to really know. I mean, you have reviews, but you don't really know who you're working with until you start working with them. And that's
yeah,
hard. Even when you
yeah,
interview, it's not until you get moving where you see, where the best interests lie.
yeah. And I think the people that aren't rushed into making a decision, and like a quick decision into listing their home or buying a home, I think they have a better chance of picking the right agent for them, and maybe taking a few months to decide. And has that agent kept in touch with me after our
Right.
initial appointment? Has there been any other interaction? What's their communication like? I think there are a lot of things to look at. So if you're planning to do this over the next year, you're not starting too soon if
Right.
it's a 12-month process by
Right.
looking for agents and getting to know someone.
Right. Yeah. It's funny. It's almost like it's changing the mentality of, kind of doing things backwards, like preparing your home, like getting things ready throughout the years so that like once you go to sell, it's not like you have so much you have to do. Like if you just take the
Right.
steps each month to get ready, it's just a big difference. And that's how, we know that people are thinking about it. And that's how we ended up selling later, because we know those conversations are out there.
Hmm.
Um, and it's just a matter of making those public, because different agents know different homes they're selling, but there's no real public way to have that conversation safely without your information being shuffled off to the many bazillions
Right.
of referral platforms. And it's sad because I went to that conference before in January, like when we can actually go to conferences, and um, I couldn't believe how many referral platforms and lead generation companies are out there for agents, and it just keeps growing, and it's like the
Yeah.
same cycle repeats itself. And so it's harder for consumers to find the right person, because you're like, are you the best agent, or did you just pay the most money for my information? So that leads me to our last question. What is the most important question you think you can ask an agent when interviewing them?
Ooh, there's a few. And I think there's a few. I think one is with the terms of the contract. So how long is it? What is the commission? And are there any additional fees? Because those things are all negotiable. You never want to sign a whole year contract.
Right. Or like the buyer admin fee that's on there, that
yes,
the $300 or $400 admin fee for paperwork, right?
Yes. So there's the commission structure, which is two-part. You have your percentage, and then you have a flat fee, your term of the contract, and also your listing price. That's up to the seller. That's what you want to list your home for. It's my job to give you advice, but it's your job. Like, you're the one that ultimately decides the price. Right. But never pick an agent based on price. I know so many agents that go out and buy listings by saying, "Oh, I can sell your house for $500,000," when really it's only worth maybe $350,000.
Right.
I'd rather give you my true opinion on price. Go ahead and list it, with someone else way over what I think it's worth, because you're just going to be wasting everyone's time.
Right. And in 2 weeks, if they go with that person, it'll be like, well, I guess we should lower the price a little bit because it doesn't look like anybody made an offer,
Right.
You end up back at the price that you suggested originally.
Yeah, and a lot of time has been wasted. So that year that you had it on the market with that person, you paid an extra $12,000 in real estate taxes when you could have just sold your house and moved along. But that's a hard thing for people to understand. Then the other thing that I think is really important is communication, and how is your agent going to communicate with you? How do you want to be communicated with? Text, email, phone calls? Is there a certain time of day? What's your work schedule like? Because one of the biggest complaints I hear from people is, I could never reach my agent, or they didn't keep in touch with me. I never knew what was going on. So that's a really big part, because really it's like you're dating the person.
Right.
Through the process.
That's it. We were talking with the last agent. It's like it's just as much a personality match as it is. Obviously the expertise is number one, but if you're a very different personality or different ways of communication, like there's just no way it's going to be hard to make that work, Yeah.
So I think that's important. I always laugh and say to clients, I'll call them, a month or two after closing and say, what, like, did we break up? Because I don't hear from you anymore.
Right. But that's nice, because sometimes people don't ever hear from their agent, like once it's all said and done, and then not that you feel used, but you kind of feel like, well, I wish they would, especially when you're moving to a new city, like that agent should be someone to help you, like show you. And I know you do that all the time, where people that are new to the area, they end up becoming your friends, and you used to have them over when we can actually do like Friendsgiving and Thanksgiving.
When it didn't have to be a virtual happy hour.
Virtual happy hours. There has to be something better made for virtual happy hour. I don't have time to invent something else, but is there anything else you can think of that you think it's important for consumers to know, whether about agents, the market, Pittsburgh North? And when we say Pittsburgh North, that's a broad area,
I always think of Pittsburgh North from like the Allegheny River north.
Right. To the county line.
That is, to the county line. But even as you go into Butler now, it's like Cranberry is just an extension of Pittsburgh.
Right. And now Mars, I feel like, is even getting to the point where it's just, it's going to be the next one. So there's so much. Great. Well, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.